So, um, my dear wife used to say something like this about the Old Testament. She would say, we reflect the people in the Old Testament trying to be just and holy, but fails to live a triumphant life over and over again. Today, more than ever, we are exponentially distracted. We are torn between pull and push. Our instant gratification instant gratification culture leaves us empty and hungry, um, always trying to have more. People are working more hours and buying more to occupy, to make them feel good, trying new clothes to look good. Um, and so that is the bigger culture we are in. And we are so egocentric, we don't realize that what you have is enough. And like Apostle Paul says, I have learned to be content with what we have. You know, even though he was speaking at this time from jail, his situation was not the best. You know, um, he had to depend on Christians at Philippi to supply his needs. In those days, if you were in jail, the jail did not supply you drinks and food and bed and everything. Family, community, churches had to supply food, and so Philippi church used to supply food for Apostle Paul. And in that context, Apostle says, I have learned to be content. But we are not there yet. That's our struggle. So so we have this unresolved tension, and sometimes we go crazy. We get stressed out, right? We have some mental illness. We get high blood pressure. You're looking at one. So perpetually we allow ourselves to wallow on things that you have no control over, and we forget to take care of ourselves. Make sense? I think we all are guilty about that. And so we all have this shadow, within, every once in a while we get reminded about things that we should not be doing, and yet somehow we let it happen. So I have a very wealthy nephew, but when he was a toddler, he was afraid of his own shadow. Because when I was growing up, we had kerosene or lantern, and we will put a lantern on a table in the middle of the room, and we want to have some fun. Him struggling with his own shadow, right? He would go there, and he will do like this. He's really scolding the shadow to go away, to disappear, and then he turns around and he runs to one of the adults who is in the room, and then he looks back and the shadow's still there. And then he will cling unto us, And so even in our own prime age, we still have things, baggages that we carry along, and sometimes those baggages becomes enormous baggage that we cannot carry around. It bogs us down. So I went to college in Calcutta City. In Calcutta City have, so many beggars, and people who are scrounging around garbage bins and garbage piles, trying to get things, something to recycle, sell it, get some money for food. And so you will see them walking around with big gunny sacks. You know what gunny sacks are, right? So they'll carry and they will keep putting in carry, and those gunny sacks are this big. They will carry those. And on monsoon rainy day, what happens? Those gunny sacks get wet and heavy. And then soon after that, the sun will burst open and the humidity comes in. And then what happens? Gunny sack stinks. So I'm telling you the story to say that sometimes we do the same thing. We carry around our baggages. They're enormously big. They're heavy. And over time, it stinks your life. Not in a literal sense, but metaphorically speaking, it stinks our life. It takes the joy out of you. It takes the beauty out of your lives. You're constantly worrying rather than living your life. Right? That's what happens. And so I call that a shadow. I call that a monster. I call that guilt. Whatever term, language will define your own struggle. I think we need to pay attention to that. I'm telling you this story to bring you on board to what is going on with this particular story that I read. And maybe I should just give you a little bigger context to help us to arrive at a place where the passage I read becomes real. So let me start with this. Just a very summary narration, okay? So this starts at Genesis chapter 27. This starts at Genesis chapter 27 and with Isaac and Rebekah. Remember that? Isaac and Rebekah had two sons, two handsome sons. The eldest, his name was Esau, and the youngest one was Jacob. And according to Genesis 27, both Rebekah and Jacob are getting old. Isaac and Rebekah were getting old. And Isaac's eyesight was failing. Following the tribal custom and tradition, Isaac called Esau, his eldest, for some private conversation. That's what they do. If the father is ailing and know that it is not going to turn out right, and so in my tribal tradition, we called on the eldest in the family, because eldest in the family will become the father, will be the responsible for the family and the businesses. And so this private conversation between Isaac and Jacob is happening. I mean, he wanted to have this private conversation with Esau. And then Rebekah heard the conversation. And so out of that comes out this idea, divisive idea, because Rebekah wants to have her son, youngest son, be blessed. Remember? Yeah. And so they concoct a story, and that led Jacob to con, cheat, and manipulate the old man and rob Esau's birthright. Right? So now Esau hears about it, and Esau is very, very angry. And verse 41 says, and Esau really wanted to kill his brother for undermining family honor and egregiously acting against their own tribal tradition. Because in their tribal tradition, no younger siblings can take older siblings' right. Right? That's probably true in Ghana, right? That's in my tribal culture. You know, the youngest cannot usurp authority against the eldest. And so Jacob created this deep animosity against his older brother Esau. So the guilty mother Rebekah comes quickly to rescue Jacob from bloodbath and sent him away to Beersheba, from Beersheba to Haran, to live with his uncle Laban, right? However, no amount of geographical distance can erase or dismiss what really took place. And at times, Jacob is feeling the sense of somebody is really chasing him, right? Because the demon within him is reminding him what he has done, what he had done, right? He can never be free from what he has done against his brother and father. And so, in his running, he got tired. He sleeps under the sky, looking at the stars. He took a little piece of stone or a rock to lay his head and go to sleep. Well, when you are running after doing something terrible and laying your head on a stone, you will have some weird dreams. Right? He had some weird dreams. A ladder stretched from the earth to the skies and to the heavens, and God is on the top of the ladder. He felt God was nudging him to do something right. So he called that place. Next day he got up, he put some olive oil and anointed the stone, and then he called that place Bethel, meaning the house of God. He felt house of God. Okay, now in chapter 29, he arrives at his uncle Laban's house. There he labored as a shepherd and increased Laban's wealth. Verses 16 to 18, Laban had 2 daughters. Leah, the older daughter, was beautiful but with weak eyes. Rachel The youngest was beautiful, with great body and good look. Jacob worked 7 years to earn Laban's favor to marry Rachel. But on a wedding day, when Jacob unveiled his new bride, she was not Rachel, but she was Leah. Right? You remember that story? So Jacob was furious. He went to Laban to complain his deception. Jacob forgot what he had done. His own mistake, right? He is questioning Laban. How can you do these terrible things to me? Jacob could not swallow this bitter pill. Yeah. And Jacob is not the only one who does those kinds of things. We ourselves, we do it. And sometimes we have regrets and remorse, and sometimes we don't. So he complained for the horrible treatment Laban gave to Jacob. And then Laban gave a very masterful reply to Jacob. Here it is. This is what Laban said to Jacob. It's not our custom here to marry off a younger daughter ahead of the firstborn. Ooh, karma is coming back. Huh? Right? Ooh, yeah. But wait until the bridal week is over. Then we'll give you Rachel too, provided you promise to work another 7 years for me. Ooh. So Jacob had to work another 7 years to marry Rachel, and then later he finds out that Rachel cannot conceive. Right? So I'm not saying that Jacob is reaping what he sowed. But it happens, right? What goes around comes around, some people say. And this is what is happening to Jacob. Jacob forgot what he had done against his brother and father. Jacob had to earn his brother's and father's trust. Earning trust is not an easy move. It is painful. You have to acknowledge what you've done and seek forgiveness. So now it comes to chapter 32. Jacob is ready to face his older brother. And verse 7 says, Jacob felt terrified and trapped. Of course, right? He felt trapped. Because the people Jacob sent to talk to his brother said, your brother is waiting for you out there with 400 soldiers. That's what he says. Yeah, Esau is waiting for you with 400 soldiers ready for you. So we don't know whether Esau was getting ready to kill his brother or just trying to show his power and say, welcome home, brother. I don't know. Because the scripture doesn't say what was, in Esau's mind. Jacob is terrified. He just says, oh, my brother is waiting to kill me and my wife and my children. That's what Jacob is assuming. And so Jacob, he's still dealing with his past, right? So now he's saying, well, I need a strategy. I need a strategy how to appease my brother. How can I tell him I am so deeply, very, very sorry for messing up? I am so ready to face the reality, and so I'm coming home, but I'm not coming home empty-handed. I will do whatever I can to earn your respect and loyalty and be willing to accept me back. And hopefully, this will reconcile our 20 years of living in pain. So, this is what Jacob did. So, Jacob had 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 20 rams, 30 female camels, 40 cows, 20 female donkeys, 10 male donkeys. He had all of that as a gift for restitution. So, in the olden days, maybe my story is too long. In the olden days, people who owned that much, in today's term, it'll be multimillionaire. He had that much to offer to his brother to gain the trust. Jacob was willing to give something that has been bothering him for a long time. Whether you want to call the darkness or the shadow or the monster or guilt or shame, whatever you want to say, Jacob was so ready to give. So he sends his wife and kids. He sends all of these goods, not one after another, but strategically done. Send the camel, wait a little bit. Send the cows, wait a little bit. Send the goats a little bit, A way of gently, slowly chipping away the anger of his brother. Make sense? Yeah. Somehow gifts will appease. And that is what is happening. And then he is alone again. Another last moment to ponder and pray. And this is when this man showed up out of nowhere and wrestling with Jacob. We could say he's wrestling with his demons, or wrestling with his guilt, or wrestling with his monster, but could be wrestling with God too, right? Yeah. And as the day was breaking, Jacob says, "Let me go." And the angel of God, let's just say angel of God. Angel of God says, "Let me go." And Jacob said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. Yeah. I want to be blessed. I have so much in me I need blessings from God. And so there's that dialogue happening. And the angel of God asks him, "What's your name?" Jacob. And the angel of God says, "Okay, you are no longer going to be Jacob, but soon you will be Israel." Right? So, I don't know what you're wrestling with. Whether your wrestling is small or big. What are you wrestling? Who are you wrestling with? Are you like Jacob, bringing on board God and wrestling with God, or partnering with God to wrestle with? Because wrestling alone, it's not fun. It makes you more lonelier. But if you wrestle with the help of God to figure out, and today, we have social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, all kinds of people who are willing to listen and probe and try to give not answers, but help you understand the depth of the situation. We all need somebody to help us sort out, a new direction. And so, wrestle with God. Bring on board God, and let God grant you wisdom so that you will be a blessing, not just for yourself, but for others as well, because that is what eventually Jacob became. And so, the Israel. Think about that, what he went through. Anyway, that's a pretty long-winded story of the text. But we have to connect the stories to really help you see, or help us see, what is really happening. So, anyway, thank you for listening this morning.